Today's question is about Airbnb. Is Airbnb a good side hustle for you? Well, I'm going to tell you about our adventures in the last 4 to 5 years, and you can decide at the end of the video if it's good for you. Our Airbnb journey started about 4.5 years ago when we bought our first Airbnb property. We didn't know anything about Airbnb then, and maybe you're in the same situation. How do we get it going? How do we list it? What do we do? What price do we go with? Well, these are all the questions that were dancing around our head too. What we decided to do was rent an Airbnb in the same resort town as we were buying our Airbnb, even before we closed on our property, to look at the furnishings, to look at access, how do you even get in the Airbnb, to look at how they listed, how they took their pictures. We got a lot of good information from staying in that Airbnb. Some of it we copied and some of it we didn't like and we ignored. So after we stayed at that place, we decided to read the reviews of the place and just see what our review would be, and just kind of, if we were the host, what are some of the things that we would change based on the reviews. We also looked at some other pricing of other places. That's in another video I have, you guys can watch that, but I wanted to continue on with talking about the journey and how we got where we are today through those first couple of months of tense anxiety. So the reason we're tense, obviously, is because we have bills to pay, and if we can't rent this place out for at least as much as the mortgage and the heating bill and the cable bill, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense for us to continue to do this. So that's kind of where our anxiety is, and I'm sure that's where your anxiety is as well. We'll talk about the dollar figures later, but the next thing that we did is we set up a few interviews with some cleaners. We wanted to make sure we went with a big enough cleaning company where they were able to do a quick turn or a back-to-back. That is when a guest checks out at 11. You have another guest checking in at 4 o'clock. There's only 5 hours when the cleaners can get over there and make sure it's clean. We interviewed a few companies and we found a perfect one. She actually came over, walked through our property with us. She had a lot of great ideas on what types of towels, what types of linens, what types of laundry detergents they like to see. We also asked her about other Airbnbs because we know that she and her company clean lots of Airbnbs around this area, and she gave us some great advice. One was to add bunk beds in our third bedroom to get a little more income, and like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit, and that was a fantastic thing. She has been a resource for us, and we love our cleaners. You need to establish a great cleaning relationship and be able to text them and ask them little questions. So let's continue on with our journey. So we got pictures taken, we got furnishings, we got bunk beds, we listed on Airbnb. The dollar figure, so we had a total dollar figure monthly of $1,600 to break even. We were going to give ourselves 6 months to get up to $1,600. Now, when you first have a brand new Airbnb coming out of the gate, you cannot charge top dollar because you have no reviews. There's nothing for people to look back at. So you got to start slow and kind of gain speed, and that's what we did. So back behind our office, we had a vision board, and each time we got a guest booking and the guest stayed there, we put a number 1, a number 2, a number 3 by those guests. We kept bugging them till they gave us reviews because we wanted to get up to superhost status. In about 3 months, we got up to superhost status, and at that point, we're actually making more than $1,600 a month. So we knew this was a great side hustle for us, and we knew we were going to be able to make this work because we kept creeping our prices up and up and up with more and more good reviews. Let me back up just a little bit here. So the first couple of months, and be real with you guys, the first couple of months we definitely did not meet our $1,600 goal. So we didn't meet our bills. So we actually had to take money out of savings to pay for our bills. By the third month, we could see that we were going to actually make this happen. I want to tell you there's a steep learning curve on the Airbnb site. There's a steep learning curve on how to take the proper photos and descriptions, and we went through all that and the learning curve of all that. I made a video here if you want to check that out, but I want to continue on with our journey and our grind. It is a good side hustle, but it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, and you need to have great communication with your guests before, during, and after they stay there so you can get good reviews, so you can charge more money. So you need to put some effort, energy, and a few hours every day actually into this. It's not a passive side hustle for sure. So 2.5 years after we bought that property, we decided to buy a second property in the same resort town because we were doing well with our first property. Remember, my goal was $1,600 a month. We were exceeding that. Some months we were up to $12,000 a month. So we decided, hey, let's buy a second property. Of course, the learning curve on the second property was almost nil for us because we know the Airbnb site, we knew the cleaners, we knew the communication, we knew the landscapers, and we used the same review process where we were charging a little bit less at first than everybody else until we got 10 reviews and we started to increase our nightly rates. And now with this property, we're making over $12,000 a month too. It is a good side hustle, guys. My wife does a lot of the communication between the cleaners, the hot tub people, the landscape people, and keeps those lines of communication open. I do a lot of stuff on the Airbnb side and repairs on our property. It is great if you have a team. It would be really hard to do it alone. You probably can do it. It's a great side hustle for us, but it is a lot of work. It has actually been good for our relationship too. Sorry to get sappy, but it has brought us close together and we have a common goal that we check in and talk about several times a week. In summary, thanks for watching this video and listening to our journey on Airbnb. Did I answer your question on is this a good side hustle for you? Well, it's a good side hustle for us. I have a full-time job. My wife has a part-time job, and this has been really great for us. I want you guys to watch this video on 9 successful things that we did to get to $8,000 to $12,000 on that first Airbnb that we talked about. I'd like you to subscribe so you can learn everything about Airbnb and you don't have to experience it. And like this video, guys, it is a great side hustle. I think I answered that question for myself. It does take some energy and effort, and it's worth it for sure, guys. Keep on grinding.